So hello everyone, today's topic is Elastic and Inelastic. So my name is Azizbek Yahshimurodov, and this is one partner Mihraj. He will be talking about inelastic, and my topic is elastic. So first, understanding elastic demand, definition, rules, and examples. Okay, let's get started. So firstly, we should know what is exactly elasticity. So the first thing is significant change in demand. So when we talk about elasticity, first we should know that elastic demand signifies that the quantity consumers are willing to buy changes significantly in response to a price alteration. So in simple words, that means that, for example, if we have a Coke and the price changes significantly, that means that the demand will be signifies that the quantity consumers are willing to buy changes significantly in response to a price alteration. So in simple words, that means. Next one, measuring elasticity. So if a 1% increase in price leads to a more than 1% decrease in the quantity demand, the demand is considered elastic. So we have this formula. If our increase in price higher than 1, that means that it is elastic. Okay, so here's an example. Consider airline tickets to a popular destination like Maldives. A 10% price increase could easily cause a greater than 10% drop in ticket sales as travelers opt for alternative destinations or postpone their trips. So we should know that when we are buying tickets, airline tickets to a popular destination, like as I said, Malawi, the price, here we can see that 10% of price increase could easily cause a greater than 10% drop. That means that this is elastic thing. Its reaction for the change in price, significant, huge reaction. So when it comes to inelastic goods, they have no reaction in the change in price. So that means elasticity. Let's move to the rule of elastic demand. So firstly, we should know that elasticity of demand is calculated as the percentage change in quantity demanded, divided by the percentage change in price. So here's the formula. We know that quantity demanded, percentage quantity demanded, divided by percentage change. So this is how we find our elasticity of demand. Next one, as I said before, always, if our elastic demand, well, how to find elastic demand, your elasticity should be higher than 1. So this is the basic formula. When the absolute value, or as I said, absolute value of elasticity is greater than 1, it indicates that the quantity demanded changes proportionally more than the price. So if we have our absolute value higher than 1, that means that it's elastic. Third rule is that in elastic demand, now my friend Mihraj will be talking about this. Let's just skip this for a while. Unitary elastic demand. If our absolute value equals to 1, that means that the quantity demanded changes by the exact same proportion as the price. So that means that if our change in price changes, like for example our price changes, that means that the demand for this thing does not change as well. Like changes as well as how price changes. For example, price changes for 5%, that means that the demand also changes for 5%. Okay. Formula for price elasticity of demand. Midpoint method. The midpoint method is preferred to calculate elasticity because it provides a consistent result, as is written, regardless of whether the price is increasing or decreasing by averaging the initial and final price and quantities. So we have our absolute value equals to quantity, like second quantity minus quantity 1, divided by quantity 1 plus quantity 2, divided by 2 overall. So the same trend, we can see that provides us with price. So let's walk through an example. We have our initial price, it's $10, and new price, $8. Initial quantity demanded is 30 units, new quantity demanded is 50 units. Applying the formula, we can find our absolute value. So change in quantity, as it's written, 50 minus 30 divided by 35 plus 50 divided by 2. So we have 0.5 or 50%. Change in price, how do we find this? As well as the quantity demand. And our answer is minus 22.2%. So elasticity divided 0.5 divided by negative 0.222 equals to negative 2.25. So since our absolute value is higher than 1, the demand for this product is elastic. Like, it's negative, never negative. So graph, let's move to the graph. Elastic and inelastic demand curves. Firstly, you should take a look. We have 5 types of graphs. So one of them are like they're related for elastic and inelastic. We have the first one, absolute elastic. So visualizing demand curves helps to understand the difference between elastic and inelastic demand. The slope of the demand curve is a key indicator. But here's the elastic demand curve and inelastic. Let's just skip this one for a while. Maybe I should explain about this. So an inelastic demand curve appears relatively flat. You can see that it's kind of flat. And a small change in the value, in the price, leads to a proportionally large change in the quantity demanded. Consumers often are highly responsive to price adjustments. As I said before, elasticity is a stuff that can be very, for example, the good can be located in a very risky situation if we change the price, because the people will react sharply. Yes. So here's a graph. You can see that it's not as sharp as the last one. Real world example, consumer durables. Okay, let's move to the real world examples. Products that are not considered immediate necessities and typically involve a larger investment often exhibit elastic demand. So, automobiles. When car prices increase, many consumers will postpone their purchase, seek a used car, or consider cheaper alternatives. Yes, it's kind of true. Because, for example, when we were buying a new car and the price changed like significantly in a very short period, we will start trying to seek a used car or consider cheaper alternatives or ask our relatives about this. So, similarly, auto rebates and incentives effectively lower the price, often leading to a significant surge in sales. So, major appliances. What's that? We talked about cars. Let's move to the major appliances. Appliances like washing machines, refrigerators, fridges, dishwashers are also highly price sensitive. Firstly, consumers often wait for sales events or compare price across various brands and retailers before making a purchase. For example, we can choose Hoffman, Artel, Samsung, and others. And we people often wait for sales events. Yes, we often wait for this type of events to have our prices lower and buy them very quickly. Okay, for these types of goods, a strategic price adjustment can have a substantial impact on sales volume, demonstrating elastic demand. You can see that it's elastic demand clearly. Also, real-world examples as well as necessities with inelastic demand. I'll be talking about this. We are partially talking, so we'll just skip it. Calculating elasticity step-by-step example. So here are the equations related for calculating the elasticity of our goods. So the first one, identify initial and new values. Initial prices, $12, new prices, $15. As I talked before, we have a formula. Yes, we divide by 2. I can show you now even. So we will be using this formula. Here it is, finding the absolute value. So by using this formula, we can find our absolute value as well. So we started and calculating percentage change in price. It's changing price. Here is, we always use price, yes, 2 types of price, and divide by 2. Changing quantity, we found it, and the changing price as well. So then after this, calculate elasticity. How do we find this? Our elasticity is minus 0.59. So we found our elasticity, and after this, model, enough for doing about this. The demand is this scenario is elastic. How do we find the demand? Our price is clear, yes, we know our price, that's one price two, and initial quantity, a new quantity. We use it all the given information, and use it in our formula, and we found our absolute value. So, why elasticity matters for business? Yes, it's very essential stuff. So, first, the pricing strategies. Demand is inelastic. Businesses can raise prices without a significant drop in sales, potentially increasing revenue. Demand is elastic. Vice versa, price increases could lead to substantial revenue losses, making or just like leading you to competitive pricing or promotions more effective. Strategic decision making. Beyond pricing, elastic data informs decisions or inventory management, production levels, new product development, and market entry strategies. So, in clear words, we can say that beyond pricing, it's clear that data informs decisions on management, on other stuff. So, we should know how to use our elasticity in strategic decision making. Marketing, product positioning. Elastic guides marketing efforts for elastic products, emphasizing value, discounts, and competitive advantages is key. So we should know that our elasticity can be used in emphasizing value, discounts, any kind of very desirable things for people. Consumer sensitivity, as I said before, consumer sensitivity is how people react for your changes in business. And revenue optimization. By knowing their product's elasticity, companies can determine the optional price. So by knowing how people react, companies can put the value to just establish the price for a product. And after this, your product, like, you can have your benefit or profit from this. Okay, summary. Elastic demand defined. Elastic demand signifies that consumers exhibit a strong response to price changes. Overall, this is a clear explanation. Second one, accurate calculation, as I said before, the formula, how do we find actual value in elastic and inelastic. Next one, visualizing elasticity. Graphs widely illustrate elasticity. Factor demand curves indicate more elastic demand, while steeper curves suggest inelastic. Market impact, as I said before, market impact have real world examples, yes, about refrigerators, if you remember, in cars. And the final one, business advantage. How do business companies react to elastic and use this? So that's all.